Your journey can only begin when the self-doubts stop. The first step is harnessing your bravery within. Believing in you is your host, John G. Morris. Hello and good day to you all. I'd like to thank you for tuning in to another episode of Bravery Within. I'm your host, Sean G. Morris. I'd like to say thank you so very much for taking a few minutes and bringing me along on whether you're traveling along in the vehicle and listening to me, or if you're at home cleaning, or whatever way you listen to my podcast. I think that is fantastic, and I'd like to say thank you so much for bringing me on along. I also would like to thank you for all the folks that are taking a few minutes and stuff there and writing me through the emails that you can do with questions that you have and stuff there. We've had quite a few people that are working with me and stuff there on my Facebook page. You're starting to let me know what you want, which I think is fantastic. Of course, I have an outline of where I'm going to go with the podcast and stuff there, and I'm typically anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks ahead on episodes. But I still would like to find a way there, if it's possible, to work with you. And if there's something that you want to hear about in the podcast, something that I can try to help with, or maybe it's something that I've went through, I've tried, didn't work for me, but maybe it'll work for you. Just there's so many different options and stuff there. Just let me know. I would absolutely love to try to work with you a little bit more. I've been answering every email as they've been coming through, so I wanted to say thank you for that and stuff there. And like I said before and stuff, we went global. We're all the way across over into an amazing listener that's over in Australia. I want to say thank you very much for tuning in. I couldn't even guess how many miles away that is, 4,000 or 5,000 miles. Anyway, it's a long ways, but I just want to say thank you for bringing me along in your day as well. It means the world. So today, we're going to be going through episode 10, and this one is called Changing Your Eating Patterns and Migraines. I deal with migraines almost on a daily basis. I have for about the past 20 years and stuff there. With a weight change, there's been so many changes to it, because when you're going through a major weight loss like what I'm doing, your body's hormones, all your insides, your chemistry, your brain cells, everything goes through changes as well, which makes it very difficult. So, but I'd like to think that it's helping with my migraines. When you lose 200 pounds, I know it's helping my joints, it's helping my muscles. It's helping a little bit in my confidence area and stuff there. Honestly, I don't know if I could have done this podcast before losing the weight. So it's giving me something to work with, because I enjoy talking with you folks. And then for you to take me along and stuff there means the world. So that's one thing I want to talk about today is the migraines, changing your eating patterns. I've had a couple people ask me what I have done differently to try to trick my mind into eating less but yet feeling fuller. I don't have that fully worked out yet, but I'm more than happy to share the knowledge that I have. So altogether, the things that we're going to cover, I'm going to do my best to cover today, are tricks to help you eat less but stay full. Second thing is dealing with migraines and food that can possibly help reduce migraines. I've got some tricks for that to try to help you. And then if we've got time, just staying positive. It's hard enough in this world to try to stay positive, to try to always find the good in things, but there are ways. So we're going to try to help you through that a little bit there. So if you're ready to go and you want to hear a new podcast, let's get to it. So first thing we're going to talk about today is tricks to help you eat less but stay full. When I started out, I'm not going to lie, cutting back on food can be very dangerous. For me, when I used food for my coping mechanism, for my depression, for all my bad luck, for everything that was going wrong in my life, and then to cut that out, I was, to be honest, I could have jumped off a cliff and been happier. But my luck, I'd have jumped off a cliff, bounced all the way down, hit the bottom, broke every bone in my body, and wouldn't have died. That's just the kind of luck that I have. So I had to figure out what is going to be the best way of going about this, because I was really worried that when I started out on this journey, I was honest to God, I thought I was going to starve to death because I had changed everything. I had cut so many calories out. I mean, I dropped, 5 to 6,000 calories, boom, overnight without even, I just went cold turkey overnight. I just woke up the next day and it's like, you know what, I can't do this anymore. I need to change my life, because there's just so many things that I want to be here for. There's so many things that I want to do. And I couldn't do it being well over 300 pounds overweight. I just decided, you know what? Okay, it's time to do this. It's time to, strap up the boots and, grab myself there and stuff there by the boots and say, okay, I'm picking myself up. Here we go. So that's what I did. And then I cut 5,000 to 6,000 calories out of my diet and stuff there. It was terrifying. I'm not going to lie. I mean, there's still times I get a little panicky. I'm 16 months into my journey. I mean, I'm well on my way for my journey. But I still get times where I get panicky about, I think I'm just not going to have enough to eat, or sometimes I'm afraid that I'm going to bottom out. I still have problems with bottoming out, and I don't know how to get 100% on top of them yet, mainly because I'm still learning myself. But I take in some days, I stick to a regular food regimen, and I eat pretty much the same things. As you're going to learn as we go through these podcasts and I talk more about myself, you're going to learn that I'm an extremely picky eater. There's only a few things that I like, and I stick to them. I mean, anytime we go out on Friday nights and stuff there with my family, we always go out for supper. And I can see in their eyes that, really, you're going to get the same thing again? Because I don't even pick up the menu. When you don't eat out much anymore, you want to get that something that's going to help you, give you enough willpower to get through for the next week. And eating out is so expensive anymore that it's like, okay, if I'm going to go out and eat, I want to make sure I'm going to get something that I want to eat, that I will, because I mean, I'm not big on trying new foods. I'm not open-minded about my food. I'm not going to lie. And anybody that knows me is going to absolutely agree to this, because I have about 6 things on my list that I eat, and that's it. It's made my weight loss journey very difficult because I don't try new things real well. My son is fantastic about saying, okay, Dad, try this one here. I think you're going to like it. He scurries all kinds of recipes and stuff there to try to find new things to keep things interesting. And he's done fantastic. I mean, he's been quite a morale boost on this whole journey. But I'm still very stuck in what I will and what I won't eat. So that leads me back to, I feel like I'm just going to starve to death. And then on top of it all, I had that voice in the back of my head just nagging me, saying, you need to eat more. It's okay to have that lemon meringue pie that you absolutely love. Or it's okay to have those cookies or those brownies or whatever. And it's just constantly like, okay, you need to go away. You're killing me here. But I figure that voice is going to be with me probably for the rest of my life. So I always try to find ways to ignore him. So knowing that I can only eat so many calories because I keep myself so reined in, I have to be really careful with what I eat, how much I eat, and everything else, because I want to cross that finish line, just like what you guys want to do. You want to get past that finish line and knowing that you did it. You've lost. It doesn't matter if you only wanted to lose 10 pounds. It doesn't matter if you want to lose 50 or 100, 150, or somebody like me that needs to lose over 300 to get back to something of a healthy weight. It doesn't matter how much you lost. It's just amazing that you're moving forward with it. You stuck with it, and you did it. And that's where I want to get myself to. Being that it's month 16, I gave myself 2 years to get hopefully to the weight I want. I don't know if I'll be fully there yet, but I gave myself a goal of 2 years. But to lose 300 pounds in 2 years, I mean, that's, to me, is incredible. So it doesn't matter how much you have to lose, but I still have to be careful with, how much I eat. I have to watch my caloric intake. I have to be really, really, really careful. So what I had to do was basically figure out ways of fooling my brain while while retraining my body to eat less, along with trying to figure out how to get myself to try different foods that I'm not fond of, foods that there's no way in the world I would try before my weight loss journey. I'm working on it. Like I said, I'm a work in progress. Some days I can be a mess when it comes to food. But overall, I think I'm doing okay. So what I did is I didn't know where to start. I didn't know how to tackle, okay, how am I going to trick my brain? You're rewiring. It's like pulling wires out of the back of your speaker, your sound system, and then going, okay, well, I got all these wires. What do I do? Where do I put them? Where do they plug in? And that's kind of how I started out with this whole thing. I didn't do a ton of research. I did research, but even with the research, I'll be honest, I was still confused. It was still overwhelming. It was very, very, very mind-blowing. And it's like, okay, I've always heard people say different things about, okay, this is how you're going to feel, once you start down this path. This is how, because everybody refers to it as a diet. Well, it's not a diet. This is a lifestyle change. All the way across the board. There's no ifs, no ands, no buts, because I can't go back to the way that I was, because if I do, then I go back to those 300 plus pounds. And we all know that once you go through you give up and you start eating the way you did, you always gain all the way back plus more. And I have tried 6-7 different kinds of diet plans and followed them to a T. And after a while, I lose a little bit of weight, but then I get discouraged because you plateau or stress comes on from life, and then you start eating the way you used to. And I didn't want to go back down that road again, but it's like, okay, I don't know. Okay, I'm like in a state I've never been in. I have all these roads. I have all these towns. I have all this stuff that surroundings I'm not familiar with. And that's the way I felt starting out on this weight loss journey. So I went to the books. Of course, all of our good friends here, our favorite place to go, Google. And I started snooping around a little bit, looking at things, looking at how, the way doctors recommend that you should take off weight, where you've got your nutritionists, your diet gurus. I checked out plans, and I tried to take like the best of each plan and the best of what the doctor said and try to formulate something that's going to work for me. Because like I said, I've been down this road 6 or 7 times throughout my life, and none of them worked. But there were certain things that worked for me while, in each plan. So I thought, okay, maybe to get this to work right, I need to create my own plan. And what I'm doing is probably something that somebody else has done. It's probably nothing new. But what I did is I took the best of each plan and I made it my own. I said, okay, this is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to tackle it. So that way I know I can stick with it. Because if I don't come up with a plan that's I can live with, literally one that I can live with, this is never going to work. I'm never going to stick with it. I'm going to basically blow up again. And instead of next time having to lose 300 pounds plus, I might have to lose 400 pounds plus or 500 pounds plus. Because once you go off of it, then the depression kicks in real bad, because it's like, oh, well, something else that I failed at. Shocker. That's what I've done my whole life is fail. So why not throw this one onto the fire and just let it keep burning up and stuff? So I went to the books and I figured, okay, if I'm going to do this, what are some of the things that can help me right out of the gate? So that way I know I don't trip and fall, stumble, and give up on the plan. So these are things that I have done that I sat down and tried to figure out, okay, what have I done so I can work with you and tell you about these things, and hopefully they'll help you. The first thing that I learned was to avoid liquid calories. Everybody loves their coffees. They love their lattes. They love their smoothies. They love their pops. Yeah, they're good, and we all use them basically to keep going because we don't get enough sleep. We don't get enough time to rest. Our jobs push us to the brink of going crazy. So we all go to those liquid calories to try to keep ourselves going. In some cases, they make us feel good. They give you that jump start that you need of positivity. But they're empty calories, as they're called. And I didn't understand the meaning of empty calories when I first started this. I thought, okay, well, that's a fancy new term for whoop-de-doo, Basil. But it come down to where once I started checking into it a little bit more, it was incredible. I mean, yes, as I've said in other podcasts and stuff there, I will not give up my Mountain Dew. Now, we all know, I know for a fact there that a 12-ounce can of Mountain Dew has 170 calories in it. And yes, it has a ton of sugar, has a ton of carbs, blah, blah, blah. You're preaching to the choir here. But one thing that I learned is if I factor that in to my overall plan for the day, I'm okay. So that helps give me the positivity that I need to keep going. And we all do need a little bit of sugar. You need carbs. I mean, that's your energy. That's what keeps you going. So you have to be careful not to have too much, but not too little. So avoiding liquid calories. Pay attention when you're drinking things. When you just the next time you go into a convenience store and you go to the cooler and you see all the drinks on the wall and stuff there, and you pick up a drink, just flip it over to the nutrition section and find out how many you're taking in and everything else that goes right along with it. And then you start looking, you go, oh, okay, well, this is a little different. So hopefully that'll kick in a little faster for you. I swap out for lower calorie versions of things. Instead of eating like the chips that I absolutely adore, I mean, you got your cheddar chips, and you've got all kinds of junk food essentially that we all go to. That's quick on the go. It's very, very easy to eat. So what I did is I swapped out for one of my favorite things, which there's a picture of, which is the popcorn that I swapped out for, and I use my Honey Nut Cheerios and stuff there to help out with cravings and stuff there, and they're all lower calorie instead of having, the quick, ho-hos or anything like that there that we all grab off the shelf because we're in a hurry. I mean, that's really what it comes down to, is we're just trying to keep our bodies going while trying to keep the family going, keep the jobs going, going 70 different places because you got running around to do after work. So I've been looking for lower calorie versions. That's why I went with the cheeses. That's why I went with the meat sticks. Anything like that. I tried to look for like the lower calorie fruits and stuff there to try to help me through the day. So when I get those moments where I need just that little quick pick me up, I don't blow the heck right out of my whole weight loss journey for the day. So that way I keep myself going. This one was a very, very hard one for me. I'm not perfect at it yet, but I would have to say I'm probably 90% the way here, but it's cut out condiments. You could have, back when I started this, you honestly could have, basically cut my hand off, and what would have ran out is sweet and sour sauce and ranch dressing. I'm going to be honest. I drenched everything in ranch dressing, and everything else, when that didn't have it, it was sweet and sour sauce. I have since cut out probably 95% of the ranch dressing, and I still use sweet and sour sauce probably about 10-15% of the time. But most of the time I'll put that on, like when I warm up lunches at work and stuff there, I'll put it on my steak or my pork chops just a little bit. And what it does, it just basically it helps, soften up the meat a little bit and stuff there, give it a little bit of moisture, and then it's just a little bit of flavor. I have to be really, really careful with it because a quarter cup is 140 calories. So I make sure that I only use a couple teaspoons or a couple tablespoons at the most, enough to get the flavor. And my son is going to attest to this. My biggest condiment that I used and seasoning that I used was pepper. That's like I said, I'm not very adventurous with my food. So, cutting out the condiment, I mean, to lose the ranch dressing, I thought, you know what, is this really worth it? I threw myself on the floor in my kitchen, and I had just a big old screaming hissy fit is what I had. But I realized that, okay, well, there's a ton of calories in it. There's a ton of carbs in it. And if I'm going to do this, I got to learn to start cooking smarter. So I had to suck up my pride a little bit here and work with my son and figure out, okay, well, can we use these seasonings in its place? Because a lot of them don't have any calories, so, which is fantastic. You just have to watch the salt content, because I keep salt cut out as much as I can, because it's not great for you. You have to have some, but it's not great for you. So that was another thing that I did. To fool my brain and to think, oh, wow, I got this huge plate of food. It's like, I'm going to just knock it out of the park tonight. I started using smaller plates and cups. And it seemed in the beginning when I would fill it up, I go, Okay, what just happened here? There's nothing on this plate. But after you retrain your mind and retrain yourself to start taking smaller portions, that smaller plate was huge. It took probably about 2 weeks for everything to kind of kick in. But at that point, what I learned is the smaller plates, I'd eat less calories, of course, less carbs, everything across the board. My stomach actually shrank up. It got used to it. In the beginning, it was like, oh my goodness, I'm going to starve to death. That's just it. And I would get upset. But after retraining my mind and working to say, okay, this is going to work, you just have to give the program time to work, it actually works out great. So I can use a full-size plate anymore. And if it's more than half full, it's like, okay, I'm overeating. This just isn't going to work. And instead of using the 32-ounce cups that I used to have there and drinking a ton of carbonated drinks or whatever it was, I've been actually really good about switching over to water, and then I'll use like Crystal Light or something like that there to flavor the water. I know that some of you out there use like Mio, and Alex does too and stuff there, and it helps flavor that water so that way you're more apt to drink more of it. And I make sure that I have lots and lots of ice on hand, because if the water's cold and everything, then I'll drink a lot more of it. If it's warm, yuck, I won't even touch it. So that's helped me in the past. Another thing is I avoid buffets and family-style eating restaurants. I have to stay away. The only buffet that I have is a Chinese buffet that I go to anymore, and I'm really careful with that there. I've learned how to avoid, the deep fat fried stuff. I try to stay away from anything like that there. So if it's fried, you can tell it's been on a grill or something like that, then I'll eat that, because more than likely the fat has burned off, and they don't use quite as much additives basically to make it taste good, and it's just not deep fat fried, so it's better for your heart, it's better for everything all the way across the board. So that's the only buffet that I have. But otherwise I was hitting every buffet because I thought, hey, I need to get my money's worth. So I would go in there just to say, I'm gonna shut you down, guys. You're not gonna be able to afford to see me walk in the door anymore. And then I realized, wow, I'm over 300 pounds overweight. It looks like they won, and I did not. So I do my best to avoid a buffet. I go to a place where if we do go out to eat, I try to get it to where I can control the portions and what is being made. But I still prefer to stay home and make my own. That way I know, which is, now that I say it, that's one of the options, prepare your own meals. I found it's easier because you can control the caloric intake, you can control the seasonings and everything about it, so you're more apt to eat what you have. I know it's a drag to always come home and make supper, because in this busy world, it's like, okay, now I gotta blow a hour between prepping, cooking, eating, and then going back for cleanup. I know it's a lot, but if you start building it into your routine and just know that I have to budget this much out of my day, it takes a lot in the beginning, and I'm not gonna lie, it's still a challenge some nights because I'm so busy, even with this podcast or helping a friend out, or just playing with Willow. It gets to be overwhelming sometimes, and it's just like, God, I just don't want to go through it. But trust me, in the end, it's worth it, because if you eat out all the time, I used to eat out 5, 6, sometimes 7 days a week. I would just drive through the drive-through, and I'd get $30 worth of food. And that's off the dollar menu. So let me tell you, that's a lot of cheeseburgers and a lot of fries, and that all went into my stomach. And then guess what? It attached right to my hips and right to my butt. So I realized that I can't do that. So I feel better cooking for myself. I think it's helped. So I think it'll help you. Find a way to cook low calorie, nutrient dense foods. Like I said, I'm as much protein as I can take in a day. Everything hovers around protein. My rotisserie chicken, steak, pork chops, regular chicken, cheesy brats, hot dogs. I don't have much for hot dogs, but I have cheesy brats and stuff there. I try to stick as much to that, your cheeses and your meat sticks, anything there, because the protein's harder. It takes longer for your body to digest it, so you stay full longer. It works for me, and I know some of you out there aren't real big on the meat section. So you can have more salads, you can have more fruits, you can have more vegetables, anything to try to help you out. I still try to work in some vegetables, even though I can't stand them. I am trying to work more into my diet. It's just not It's not going well. I'll be honest with you. It's not. I'll never be. I'll never be a vegetarian. I'm not gonna lie there. I think I'd rather drive off a cliff before I become a vegetarian. So, but if you guys are, I think that's fantastic. That makes the weight loss journey that you're on so much easier. So just kind of keep that in mind. You're gonna want to stay hydrated. I try to drink as much water as I can. I drink it throughout the day. Like I say, I talk a lot about Mountain Dew, but I really don't have a lot. I get one right away in the morning because it helps with my migraines to keep them at bay. And it also helps give me that jump start, but I really don't drink more than a can, and that's it. So I drink so much water that I'm running to the toilet about every 20 minutes. But it's good for your kidneys. It can, so that way it keeps all the internal functions great. It's good for your skin, good for the organs, all the way across the board. So find a way to drink, more water, and tea is good for you. They even recommend coffee at times too, because yes, it has a little bit of caffeine, but it has been known to actually help keep you a little bit fuller. It's tricking your body. It's actually really, really a neat idea and stuff there. And I'll do some more research on it, but they're actually saying coffee is not that bad for you when you're on your weight loss journey. So of course you can't drink 7 pots of it, but just like everything else, you got to be kind of selective on how much you drink. So just keep that in mind. Getting enough sleep, that is, I'm sure it plagues most of us that we'd never get enough sleep. There's just too many things going on. But that's one thing that I found, the more I stick to a sleep regimen, going to bed at a certain time every night, getting up at a certain time, it just routine. I know that sounds boring, but when you're on your weight loss journey, that's actually one of your greatest assets, is a routine that I've learned. So getting enough sleep, I don't get enough sleep. I flat out admit it. I struggle with it, but I still go to bed at a certain time every night. I still get up in the morning at a certain time, especially during, work week and stuff there. On the weekends, I have a tendency to try to sleep a little bit more when Willow will let me. Most of the time she doesn't, so I'm up at the same time anyway. Learning how to say no to appetizers and freebies when eating out. I just don't get appetizers anymore. If there's anything that I get to eat before the meal, it's going to be a salad. So that way, at least it's something positive that's going inside of me, with the lettuce and the carrots and and everything else, the meats. I basically make a chef's salad for the most part there when I have it. So I have a small one before, supper comes along. And I have found that helps the cravings. And I've learned that because most of the time when you go and you get a salad prior to your meal, you have a tendency to fill up on that. So that way, when you get to your actual supper, you actually don't eat as much, and you end up taking some home in like a doggy bag or something like that there. But that's a good thing because you're learning to cut back, and I would rather fill up on the salad portion because I know it's good for me, and I know that goes along with, hey, just a minute, you just said you don't like vegetables. Well, I do love a good chef salad, but you come at me with broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, asparagus, man, we're not going to get along. I just will not touch that stuff. But I do love a good chef salad, so I found that it works out better to have one of those prior to the meal, and helps kind of trick my mind that I'm fuller than what I am, because there's always a break between what you eat and how long it takes to register up to your brain saying, hey, guess what, I'm half full or I'm 3/4 full. I don't understand why it does that, but I just know there is. So if you slow down a little bit and give basically your mind a chance to catch up, it's weird, I'm still learning it, but it actually helps out in the end. So the only other thing that I do different now, I don't, but they recommend to weigh your foods so that way you get an accurate portion size. I've gotten really good by operating off of, okay, this is a cup, this is a half cup's worth, and I don't go over it, so that way I can measure the calories that I'm taking in. And it's helped me out. But some people I know, they weigh their foods. Hey, that's fantastic. If that's the way it helps you feel comfortable about your caloric intake and going down your weight loss journey, please go for it. I don't do that one, but I have heard that it does help folks. It takes a little bit longer, but once you start learning the weights, once you start doing it for a while, you just automatically learn, okay, this is a pound of pork chop, or 16 ounces of pork chop, or 8 ounces of hamburger, or just anything like that. You start to learn. You get pretty good at this. It takes a little bit in the beginning to get on a routine, get on a rhythm, but once you start, it actually gets a lot easier. So just take the time to, when you start out, just know it's going to take a little bit longer to do this stuff. So make sure you budget in your day for this, so that way you don't feel Okay, I should have figured out I needed a half hour and I only allotted myself 15 minutes. Well, you're going to feel cramped, you're going to feel rushed, you're not going to enjoy it as much, and then you're going to give up on it. So just make sure you budget enough time to allow yourself to learn what the portion sizes are. And honestly, I think in the end, I think it will get easier for you and you'll enjoy it within time. So just give yourself a little bit of time to adjust to everything. It's a huge process that you're undertaking. So just be patient with yourself and give yourself enough time to learn how to do all this stuff, because you are rewiring your mind. You are changing your lifestyle and your complete life. You're changing it all up. So you've got to give yourself time to adjust. You got to give yourself time to learn the new ways of doing things. So don't be too hard on yourself there. And just little by little, day by day, it will get easier for you. So some of the things that I do to try to eat less, one thing that I learned, that I'd heard, is turn your fork upside down. It's kind of weird, but I read it in Reader's Digest, so I started doing it, because we have a tendency to scoop our food up with a fork. But if you have to stab your food, like when you eat a salad and stuff there, you don't eat as much, because it's kind of like you're forced to slow down. So like I was talking about, it gives time for your tummy to send the messages up to your brain saying, hey, we're 3/4 full. You might want to slow down here because we're going to go overbound real quick. So that's one thing that I learned, which I thought was pretty cool. Another recommendation they have is switch hands while eating. If you're a righty, use your left hand. If you're a lefty, use your right hand. Because basically what it does is it takes you out of autopilot mode, because we're used to eating with our dominant hand. And when you eat that way, you don't think about it. It's just there. But your hand-eye coordination typically is different with your other hand. So you're going to have to stop and think, okay, I got to get this food to my mouth. And you have to think about it a little bit more, which is going to give your mind time to catch up to, we're getting the full signs. Okay, we need to slow down. It works. I tried it. It was kind of frustrating, I'll be honest. So I don't really do it much, but I have tried it. So see if that works for you. Another one that they recommend, try chopsticks. I am not coordinated enough for this one. I have tried it. Even with a little rubber band at the top, I am hopeless with chopsticks. So my son can use them. My friends can use them. I'm the oddball out that just absolutely cannot work chopsticks. So I don't even try that one anymore, but they do recommend it. Chewing gum helps me. It kind of helps give you that full feeling. That way, if you get the munchies, I found that it will actually help reduce the cravings for snacks and stuff there. It actually works. It helps out big time. So try to chew some gum as long as you're not, walking around, blowing bubbles, popping them, and annoying people. It's okay. So, and there's a lot of people out there, a lot of the younger generation and stuff there, that I'd like to say, chew with your mouth closed. Just saying, you're annoying a lot of people. Sorry, I'm trying to put a positive spin on it, but there's not really a good positive way of doing this one. But, chew gum works great. I do it all the time. Snack consistently. I make sure that I always snack at a certain time every day to help keep the metabolism going. I've learned that helps out huge. So about 9, I have my breakfast between 6:30 and 6:45 every morning. My first snack typically rolls in between 9 and 9:30. And if I have to have a secondary snack stuff, that's typically around 11:30. I go to lunch, I eat at 12:30. I don't really have anything in the afternoon, and then I have a nice meal, typically around the 5:30 mark. By that time, I'm ready to eat my arm off because I'm so starving. But, I just figure that if I'm running a little hungry, it means I'm burning internal calories, and that helps out. So one thing the last thing I got for this section is use your slow cooker. I'm trying to get better about that, but they recommend that because in the morning you'll get your meal ready, sits in there, stews all day, come home, hey, it's ready to go. It's a great idea, and it should work more, and I have done it. And it also keeps you from, like me, if I was to make supper, which I do sometimes at night, by 5 o'clock I'm starving, so I'm sampling what I'm eating, what I'm cooking up, what I'm cutting up, and everything else. Well, sometimes you forget to take that into your caloric intake. You're not counting those calories. So you can throw your numbers off real fast. So, but if you have a slow cooker, the best thing to do is to put everything in. So when you get home, you get to eat and you don't have that sampling going on, because you may add 50, 75, or 100 calories to your daily number, and you might not even realize it while you're sampling, while you're eating. So I thought that was a great idea. I learned all those from Reader's Digest. Love the book, love the magazines. They're a fantastic publication, love them. And that's where I got these tips from. So I started using them, and by golly, they work. So hopefully they'll work for you. The second section that we're going to talk about and stuff there today is something that I deal so much with, and I thought it was, and it is, it's really linked and tied into my weight loss journey and being careful with everything I do, but dealing with migraines and food that can possibly help reduce migraines. I suffer from migraines horribly. I'm supposed to go in, I've talked to doctors about it, and they want me to go into one of those coffins and get scanned for 45 minutes to an hour. Otherwise, I think it's called an MRI. To me, it's a coffin that you go into. I've had one done. 5 years later, I am still having nightmares about being in that coffin. I will never go back into it. I'm extremely claustrophobic. My claustrophobia got worse because of it. So it's not an option for me. And yeah, you can say, well, there's the open MRI. You're still in a coffin. Doesn't matter what it is. You're not going to get me into it. So I can't get the professional help that I need. So I had to find ways of helping myself without going through the doctor. So these are some of the ideas that I came up with. But there are times, I've been struggling with these for 20 years. And I've learned the hard way of certain things that trigger them, certain things that will help reduce them. There's not much that I've been able to find to help reduce them, unfortunately. And because I haven't been able to, sometimes I can go 7 to 9 days straight with a migraine. It's just like, this is never going to end. It's like, it doesn't matter what you do, it just hurts. So I'm hoping some of this stuff here will help you. If you have ideas, hey, I'm up for it. Please tell me. Go to my Facebook page. Let me know. Email me. I would absolutely love to hear what you guys do to get yours to work better. But I knew that this was going to be tied in with my weight loss journey hand in hand, because if I bottom out where I don't take in enough calories or carbs, then it just instantly triggers one. And it is brutal when I get those ones. And sometimes they stick around for a couple days. Doesn't matter when I take the over-counter medicine, it just doesn't help. Nothing helps. Hiding in a dark room, trying to get cold because I run hot all the time. I'd much rather be cold any day of the week than hot. I found that helps a little bit. Ice packs in the head. But there are just times there's no help. And they are miserable, and I wouldn't wish these on my worst enemy by any way, shape, or form. So I have to be really careful with my weight loss journey, because it does trigger migraines, and when it triggers them, it is like, holy cow. And at the time, I didn't know there's actually 4 phases of a migraine headache that hits you. And that's one thing I wanted to tell you, because I'm hoping that you don't get them out there. But what I've learned through my weight loss journey is it's very easily triggered because of what I eat, how I eat, and how little I eat. I can trigger one faster. But there's actually four phases to a migraine headache. And the first step is a prodrome, which means problems concentrating, irritability, depression, some of the symptoms, difficulty speaking and reading, trouble sleeping, yawning. You can have nausea, fatigue, sensitivity to light and sound, food cravings, increased urination, muscle stiffness. I get all of that. And a lot of the times, which is really sad, I don't even have time to even brace for impact before these things hit me most of the time. Those steps there can happen, as little as 3 hours from the migraine up to several days it can be drug out for. The next step is called the aura phase, which can last as long as 5 to 60 minutes prior to the migraine hitting. And that's going to be seeing bright flashing dots, sparkles, or lights and stuff like that. Blind spots in your vision, numb or tingling skin, speech changes, ringing in your ears, tinnitus, temporary vision loss, seeing wavy or jagged lines, changes in smell or taste, a funny feeling. I've been through all of those. That's why I wouldn't recommend this on my worst enemy. The next one is the actual headache, and that can last from 4 to 72 hours, they say, is the average. Like I said, I've had mine last up to 10 days is the longest I've ever had a migraine, and I was ready just to jump off a cliff. I just couldn't do it anymore. It just stunk. And then we all know that goes along with the headache. And then the postdrome, basically the 1 to 2 days after your migraine gives up finally, is being unable to concentrate, feeling depressed. And that's what kicks in the worst for me. Fatigue, not being able to understand things, feeling euphoria. I get extremely wore out, tired. It makes it very difficult to try to go to work. But the worst thing that I have is the worse the migraine, the worse my depression is after. And there are times that I get such dark thoughts and things that it's just like, okay, I can't go on. I do everything that I can to try to stay on the positive side. But there are just times where it's just like, okay, this is just horrible. I can't think of anything positive. I can't think of anything good in my life. It's just terrifying and how dark it gets. And I get suicidal thoughts sometimes. I mean, I shouldn't even be admitting that on radio here and stuff here, but I do. And I'm sure some of you others get the same way. And it's very tough to push through that stuff. So I've had to find different things to try to help me through it. And I knew that with my weight loss journey, I had to be even more careful with what I'm changing in my life, what I'm changing with my food and everything there. So some of the things that I changed, since I can't go in and get the MRI, is I eat better and more well-balanced meals. I found by working in, and I'm trying more veggies, whole grains, your lean proteins, that's your chickens, that's your pork, your steaks, and your healthy fats, which there actually is good fats like your omega-3 fatty foods and stuff there, actually helps reduce the severity of them. I still get them, but sometimes I don't get them as bad as I used to. And I have to admit that ever since I started my weight loss program, they have gone down. I still get them. I still get them quite regularly, but nowhere near as many as I used to get. The weather around here that we have is crazy. One day we're 20 degrees and in a blizzard. The next day it's 70 degrees and hot and everything's melting. The temperature shifts that we get around here and the weather shifts are crazy, and it just plays hell on everybody's heads around here, because if I start getting one, I've got a couple of friends that I'll ask, they're getting them at the same time. You feel that pressure, but I've learned by eating a little bit better, it helps. It doesn't take away, but if I can reduce how bad they hurt, that's a win in my book. Sticking to a sleep schedule like I discussed earlier and stuff there. I go to bed at a certain time, I get up at a certain time, and I don't deviate from it. I've noticed that helps. We all can do this. Reducing stress. I do my very best there to try to keep the stress off me. That's why I said in previous episodes to create a positive, uplighting, very, very light atmosphere. And that's how I keep my house. So when I walk in, I try to let basically the pressures of the day, the stresses of the day and everything. The moment I walk through the door, it's just like, okay, they're just wiped away off of me, to try to give myself a chance to breathe and reestablish the positive energy in my life as much as I possibly can. It doesn't always work, but I'd say it's got probably a 95% effective rate. So I consider that to be very, very good. So keeping the stress down helps. And once I learned about this, it kind of shocked me and stuff there. My doctor told me is to keep good posture. I found that by sitting up straight constantly and paying attention to that, keeping my head up, I elevated my monitors at work. My monitors at home here and stuff are higher. I toned down the intensity of them. I toned them down to like 50%. So that way they're not, because these LEDs, let's be honest, they're beautiful for crystal clear, but they're also bright. So by turning down the brightness, that has helped out. But just basically just good posture. When I walk straight, keep my back straight and everything else. So it keeps your back muscles strengthened up, but then all your other muscles, your neck muscles, are not having to compensate by looking down constantly. I've learned that helps. Another thing that is not skipping meals. That was a big one with me, because I was worried, okay, well, I'm fat and I need to lose weight, so I'll just skip a meal. Well, as much as this hurts to say, and I'm going to catch a lot of guff for this, but it's not the right way of doing it. So I learned to eat 3 times a day at regular times. I try to stick to that one there. The weekends, sometimes I just go to 2, but I eat a little bit later in the morning and I eat a little bit earlier at night to kind of cover it, because normally during the day I'm really, really busy, or my son and I are doing a bunch of things, working in the yard or getting some running around done. So I don't typically eat lunch. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, but I try to build in for it. But not skipping meals is a big one there to try to help you through. And stay hydrated. I know it's not food, but staying hydrated is huge. Water and low caloric drinks is huge. Coffee can help with migraines because it's got caffeine in it, and most of the time you need a little bit of caffeine to try to kick the migraine. That's one of the secret ingredients to migraine medicine, is actually caffeine. So when I have one really, really bad, I'll drink an extra Mountain Dew. I have to budget in for it, but I'll drink an extra Mountain Dew, and sometimes that will help take the edge off of it when I take my migraine pills and stuff there. It doesn't always work. There's just some things that there's just no helping with a migraine. You're just hurting. There's nothing you can do. You hide out. There's times that I'll wear sunglasses inside the house because light is so intense. It just hurts. So I found that sometimes that helps when I'm at work, when I'm looking at my monitors and it's just rough. I'll put my sunglasses on. People kind of look at me funny when they come into my office and go, I needed this, but what are you doing? Oh, I'm just being different today. I'd like to throw you off a little bit and keep you guessing. It helps with the brightness of the monitors and stuff, and those god-awful fluorescent lights that everybody has in their buildings and stuff. Those things are horrible. They're just absolutely horrible for migraines. They'll trigger it real fast. But staying hydrated, I've learned, because I've upped my water intake, makes a big difference. I know it sounds funny, and you would think, well, I don't see where that's going to make a big difference. It actually does. I hate to prove those people right, but it actually does help. So, but trying to find the foods and everything to keep me on my weight loss journey while maintaining my migraines has been brutal. I've struggled to try to find those foods, but I'm finding them slowly but surely. So that's why if you got any ideas out there to help with migraines, please let me know. If there's something that I can help with, if there's certain foods or something there that I've tried and you want to know about, email me. I'll talk to you about it and stuff there and give you the information that I have to try to help you out as much as I can. But like I said, I am just a very, very picky eater. So some of the things, and I'm noticing by the time on my monitor here that I'm really running out of time here. We're not going to get to the third one today, the third portion of this. I really apologize, so I'll bring it up another day about staying positive. But some of the foods, and this goes in along with what I'm doing, is I've learned to eat more lean proteins. That has helped, and it works perfectly because I'm on a protein full diet or weight loss journey. And so, yeah, see, I said it. Yep, I'm going to hear about it. But, I eat so much protein to try to get the weight off there. So this worked out perfectly. Another one is fruits. I do love fruits. I love strawberries, bananas, grapes, oranges, apples. Love all those. They're high fiber and stuff. They're full of vitamins, minerals. It's great, but you have to be careful because they also come with a lot of calories. So make sure you build that into your daily caloric intake. Fish, I am not a fan of fish. I haven't really cared for fish my whole life, but I am learning to eat it a little bit more. I've been working it into my meals and stuff. I typically have it for supper. I'm eating it a little bit when I go out for suppers and stuff there, when I go out with the family. So that way I eat a little bit better. I've learned that, okay, well, it's not as horrible as I thought, but I'm still not... It's definitely not going to be one of my last supper meals, I'll be honest, but I'm working it in there. They actually have a lot of stuff in fish that actually helps with your skin, your eyes, everything there. It actually helps out big time. And the other thing that I've worked in more is whole grains, lots of brown and white rice. Brown rice, of course, is better for you and stuff, so we try to eat a lot of that. Pasta actually is actually pretty good for you, but remember, that is loaded with calories. It's loaded with carbs. I could go to Italy and die a happy man there eating all that good Italian food. But with everything that I'm going through, that's just not allowed anymore. So those are the things that I have found that helps sticking with those kind of foods, sticking in it, with those groups and stuff there, it does help. Like I said, it's reduced the severity of my migraines. I do feel better. So trying to work those in a little bit more, I hope it helps you out. It's helped me out a little bit more. And I consider, even if you have one less migraine a month, hey, that's a win, because when you're going through it, as well as I do, they are brutal to get through. So if there's any chance that you can, slow them down or have less of them, jump on the bandwagon and go for it. So, but I'm gonna kind of running out here and stuff here. I'm gonna have to move the positivity, staying positive section. I'm gonna have to move that to another podcast here and stuff there. So I'll talk about that next time. So all I can say is, do everything you can for staying positive. Protect your good energy. We've talked about that in the past, and I'm gonna talk about it again, and probably work this into a different podcast and stuff there, so you can understand how I maintain my good energy, keeping the negativity out of my life, keeping it out of my house. I'll explain all that in another podcast, maybe the next one. I'll tackle it with here and stuff, so that way you know what I'm talking about. But staying positive is going to help you while you're on your weight loss journey. So do everything you can to, try to keep a good attitude, help others, thank them for everything, just be there for them. Whatever it takes there for you to, keep yourself on track, that's what you're going to want to do. So, all right, as always, I'm going to finish out the podcast with my dad joke of the day. I just know I can hear you guys groaning out there, and that's why I do these. So hopefully it puts a smile on your face and you enjoy it. So the dad joke of the day is this. Do you know that it's very expensive to swim with sharks? It will cost you an arm and a leg. Told you you'd groan, but it's going to make you smile too. Thank you so much for joining. As always, I appreciate you joining in the podcast. Keep everything positive out there, and just know you have all my love and support. Sean.